There's a truck going by. Okay. Hey guys, it's Alyssa from AlyssaNalani.com, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about choosing a planner system and what you need to consider when finding what works for you. Now, I gotta turn off my phone. Okay, not turn it off, but I'm gonna put it on silent. Okay. What was I talking about? Oh yes, I'm hungry, y'all. I'm like, no joke, I'm hungry. Anyway, but I really want to get this filmed. I told you that I wanted to do 2 videos a week. I am on it, and it's past my lunch time, so we gonna do this. Okay. Anyway, so considering what you need to know when choosing a planner system, I'm so leaving all of this in the video, okay? Because I'm just gonna pretend like I'm chatting with a friend, okay? This is what it's gonna be. Anyway, I've got this list going in my traveler's notebook, as you can see, and I was just thinking of all the things that I wish I knew to ask. Sometimes it's not that we don't ask the questions, it's not just simply not asking, it's we don't even know what we don't know, right? So, if you are new to all of this, you maybe use a planner, but you still think that you're not really keeping track of enough things, or things are getting lost in the shuffle, things are falling through the cracks, things are missing, you need to ramp it up a bit, then here's what you need to know. Okay, the first thing that you need to do is make a list of all the things you need to keep track of. Everything from work, home, kids, other family members, spouse, parents, siblings, whatever. Oh, fly, hello. So home life, work, school, if you're in school, any responsibilities, projects that you're a part of, team projects, things that you're doing just for yourself, hobbies, anything and everything, health, fitness, health, fitness, wellness, self-care, making sure that you're keeping your appointments straight, whether it's the dentist office or the hair salon, all of that, anything and everything that you need to keep track of, write it down. And when you're writing it down, don't edit yourself. Okay, so don't, get halfway done and go, oh no, that needs to go up here, and oh no, that's not really, no, just write it out, brain dump on paper, let the pen do the work, and get it all out. And then, after you have everything on paper, you've listed it all out, you can go back and edit. You can go back and categorize things. You can go back and say, oh, these go together, and these over here go together. These are similarly related, or maybe I don't need to label it this. I'm actually talking about this. Choosing your words and how you want to describe things that you need to take care of. So list it all out, just bleh on the paper, and then go back and edit, categorize, maybe rethink what you meant, or how you need to phrase or word things, and just then have, I'm not OCD, but I'm very particular when it comes to when I'm writing things down, and I like lists to look nice. So that's why I say don't edit at the front end, because at least for me, I would rewrite it anyway, right? So that all my bullets are as they should be, that all categories are as they should be when it's all said and done. Okay, the second thing that you need to consider is, what can you realistically carry? Okay, so depending on the season in your life, or what your day-to-day looks like, can determine what you can and cannot carry. So it's just me and my husband, no kids. I carry a large purse with all my stuff in it, and so I carry every day both of these notebooks. I shouldn't say I always carry them, because sometimes I don't carry my purse. If my husband and I are just running errands or whatever, and all I need are my cards and my phone, then that's all I carry is my cards and my phone. But if I'm carrying my purse, I have a big purses, and I carry my notebooks with me. So just consider, if you need something smaller and more compact, they make planners of all sizes. If you carry a larger bag and you have the room, consider that, I can carry, the larger size paper, the thing that's going to take more space. You also might want to consider the fact that if you do keep everything compact, would you consider sizing up a little bit and maybe carrying a bigger bag, or or something like that? Or do you need to scale down? So consider not just where you're at, but is this where I want to stay? Okay, so what can you realistically carry with you? Oh, also, this also goes for carrying multiple planners or having multiple planners. You can carry a small planner with you, right, that just takes care of certain things, certain day-to-day, on-the-go type things, and then at home have a bigger, maybe desk-sized planner that just stays at home, that takes care of things that you don't need when you're out and about, okay? So what can you realistically carry with you, but also what can you leave at home, that just remains there, okay? The third thing, number 3, is what kind of time do you have, okay? Now, and this can go both ways, and either do I need to give more time or do I need to scale back? So how much time do you have to devote to writing stuff down? Does this need to happen at the beginning of the week, where I write everything down for the week and then work off of that from, Sunday to Saturday? Or do you plan day to day, depending on your schedules and what's going on in your life? Do you set up your month and then set up all your weeks? Or do you set up your month and then set up your week to week, and then your days day to day? How much time do you have to devote to getting stuff on paper, I guess is what I'm saying. Can you devote 30 minutes at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day to prepare for what's about to come? Or are you one where you just have to take those 5-10 minute chunks of time as they come and get stuff in? So just consider what time frames you're working with, so that as you move forward, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I can handle, and don't put unnecessary, unrealistic pressures on yourself because, well, she does it this way, I should too. There's not a right and a wrong, and everybody's lives are different, so you have to work with what you have, right? And then when it comes to scaling back or maybe giving more time, there are busy seasons in life where you just honestly do not have time. But if you have time to watch Netflix, or you have time to do something, to scroll social media, maybe you can take some of that time and spend it more on your planner. Or if you are spending so much time in your book that you don't have time to actually do stuff in life, then you might need to scale it back. So just be aware of your time constraints, your time allowances, and work and be balanced in those. The fourth thing, we are at number 4, right? The fourth thing is, how elaborate do you want to be? So this kind of correlates with number 3, but this isn't just how much time do I have to write stuff down. This is also how much do I want to put into this. Some women have these gorgeous planners that have all the washi and the stickers and tip-ins and ephemera and stamps and watercolors and all this stuff, and they're beautiful, and that's great if you have the time for that, and that's your creative outlet, and that's what either gets you motivated or kind of settles you in after a long day, and that's what you do. Go for it. And if you have the time and the supplies, the money to put into that, because it can add up, and you have that, then go for it. But if you don't have the time, or the money to put into that, then realize that, okay, so it's going to be more minimalistic, but it can still be, if the aesthetics of it is important, it can still be pretty. You just have to know what you're working with and what you can accomplish with that, right? So consider how elaborate or minimalistic you want to be. Consider what you can afford, both financially and with time, and then be comfortable in that and work with that, okay? So know how elaborate you want to be and be reasonable about it. Number 5 is also related. Start small, okay? If you are beginning and you're still trying to figure, your way through this, start small. You don't want to buy an expensive planner, especially if you've never used it before. You don't want to buy it just because you think, oh, well, it worked for her and I really liked how she used it. Oftentimes there's a cheaper version of that, because when it comes to planners, oftentimes we're just dealing with brands, and if you like the way a planner is laid out in one brand, you can find something similar on Etsy or even make it yourself. We're talking about paper and pen here. It's not really all that complex. So start small, get to know how your brain engages with paper. I think I've said that before in some of my videos. How my brain engages with paper is going to be different from you. And you want to get to know how that process works before you go starting to invest a lot of resources into it. The same thing goes with accessories. So don't invest in a lot of the pretty frilly, frou-frou stuff before you have your system down, okay? I will say that for me, in this process of kind of finding my system, I've collected washi tape, I've collected journaling cards, I've collected stickers, because that's just, my brain does engage with the aesthetic aspect of it, but don't think that you have to, that was over time. I mean, we're talking, this is over years, right? Don't think that you got to drop $500 on this right now, or even $100 on it right now. Start small, get to know how your brain engages on the page, and then work up to it. I was going to say something else, but that'll come later. So the next thing, number 6, is, and this is kind of fun, is get to know the basic type of planners. So we're talking about the construct of the book and the layout of the spreads. Okay, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll try to break it down. So I have a few different books that I have collected, and I have a list as well. So the first type of book and you'll be familiar with all of these, I'm sure, if not most, you have your rings, okay? Most of us are familiar with this from school. Our ring-bound folders, like our, what do you call those? Binders, right? This is essentially a binder. Depending on the size of the binder, you might have to buy a special sized hole punch, which I have. I have a hole punch that fits this. This is a Recollections binder in the personal size. I believe the bigger one is A5, okay? Some other brands that you'll come across that have this would be, of course, like Filofax, Vanderspec, those are the higher ends, Kiki K, what's the one at Hobby Lobby? I cannot think of it, but there's one at Hobby Lobby. Totally lost. Totally left. Anyway, there's a lot of different brands. Oh my goodness. And you'll find the different camps of people that are just diehard such and such fans. If you're thinking of trying a binder, don't go buy a Filofax before you try like a Recollections. You don't want to break the bank. Now, there is something to be said with quality, right? But if you're just trying it out, always go with a cheaper brand before you go and invest in something that's more expensive. So this is your binder, okay? And there's different sizes in the binders, and that will also determine how many rings that a binder has. Okay, so this is 6 rings in the personal size. Okay, the next thing, the next type would be your discs. Okay, so this is similar. This is kind of like a cross between Spiralbound and rings. Okay, so because the spiral goes all the, the discs go all the way down the paper. I might be getting really technical about this, but it just came to mind. The discs go all the way down the paper, whereas the rings, sometimes they'll have like the division in the middle. I don't know why I'm thinking so far into this, but anyway, it just occurred to me that that was the case. But a disc acts kind of like a ring in that you can take out and add pages. So you can add and remove pages. But instead of the rings, you know, they're enclosed like this and they hold the paper and then you have to unclasp them. The discs, you can just take the paper off without unclasping anything because the paper is slitted like so. Okay? And then you just press it back in like so. Okay? Your disc-bound brands, I only know of two, I think, is the ARC system, ARC, which you can find at Staples, and then your Me and My Big Ideas, or MAMB, Happy Planners, which this is. This is the fitness version by Me and My Big Ideas, or Create 365. I don't know, okay, I am so confused as to what to call this brand. Is it Create 365 or is it Me and My Big Ideas? I think it's Me and My Big Ideas, and then like the sub brand or whatever is Create 365, and then it's the Happy Planner. Whatever. It's not even that deep for me. It just occurred to me that I didn't know officially how that worked. Okay. The next one would be like your Spiralbound. So this is just like a regular Spiralbound notebook from school. This is also a Recollections, and it's the mini Spiralbound planner that they have. And this cover, I think, is removable. Look at that. It's slitted just like the discs in an ARC bound, or in a disc bound. It's slitted like the paper and the covers in a disc bound. Your spirals, there's a lot of different spiral bound books, and I don't even know all of them, but like the Recollections is spiral bound. Erin Condren is spiral bound. I can see it. Inkwell Press, I believe, those are spiral bound. A lot of your like Walmart, Target brands are going to be spiral bound. This is like basic bound book. So it's pretty common. The next is going to be, and I don't really know what this is called. I don't know if this is called Perfectbound. This does not have signatures. Or does it? This does have signatures. Okay, so you're going to have yours that are bound like a regular book, but they're either going to be stitched, or they're going to be glued, or maybe even stapled, depending on how it's constructed. And so there's no removing, there's no adding pages to it, right? And it's right like a regular book. And then you have my favorite, Traveler Style Notebooks. Okay, so Traveler Style Notebook is, and I wish I had my original on me. Oh, I meant to say, these kinds of books would be like your Leuchtturm 1917 books, like what people use for bullet journaling. Your Hobonichi would be like this. Your like Field Notes or Moleskines would be like this. I think that Field Notes, it's been a long time since I've held one. I've never actually used one. I think they're like stapled or stitched. It's like paper, I think. Oh my goodness, like, don't hate me if I get this wrong, any diehards, but I think it's paper that's folded over, and it's just one big signature, I think. Because Field Notes are often used as inserts for traveler's notebooks, because you have field note sized inserts. It can get a little, it can intertwine here a little bit. But I wish I had my original Traveler's Notebook. I have a Midori Traveler's Notebook, but I don't know where it is at the moment. But anyway, so a Traveler's Notebook is essentially, it's a piece of leather, unless it's a faux dory, which is a fake Midori that could be made out of cloth, or I've seen plastic type materials, but it's originally a piece of leather that is folded around paper books, okay? And depending on the size of your Traveler's Notebook, it can hold 1 or 2 very comfortably, or it can hold 7, 8, or 9 comfortably. It depends on the inserts that you use. I love it because it's very, very customizable. And just like in a ring bound, right, where I might have dividers that separate my different sections, having inserts in a Traveler's Notebook kind of acts as your dividers. Plus you can tab them. See, I think I have tabs. This is the one I still need to do a video on, but like you can tab inside too for further delineation to delineate a different section. Ooh, that's a big word that I'm only just sure of. Anyway, I do speak the English. The other thing that I wanted to say is that there are different size books, so you can have, and I'm gonna get real technical here, you can have an now that I'm about to say it, I might get it wrong. You can have an A5 sized book that's bound like this, or you can have an A5 sized, y'all, I do not have any of my stuff on me. I don't know where my, anyway, or you can have an A5 sized binder like this. This is not A5, this is personal, but here's an example. When I got this, I was so excited. I was at Michael's with my boyfriend at the time. Were we engaged? My husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. I don't remember if we were engaged or not. But anyway, we were at Michael's, and I was like, babe, I need to buy one of these because this is gonna, like, I was trying to figure out like the whole planner piece thing, right? I was trying to figure out what I needed to use. And so I was convinced that this was the system for me. And so I liked the size, so on and so forth. Y'all, I wasn't in this thing a month, and I was like, I cannot, just the pages, the inserts, the rings were in the way, like I couldn't, it just didn't work for me. But it frustrated me because I loved seeing the beautiful inserts and the way that these girls were using them on Instagram and on YouTube, but it just it wasn't clicking for me. But this is a personal size Traveler's Notebook, okay? They're the same, they're considered the same size when it comes to the paper that it holds, but they're constructed way differently. So you have size to consider, you have the construction of the book to consider, and then thirdly, you have layouts to consider. So what do I want on my paper, and how is that best going to facilitate what I need to do, what I need to plan out, or what I need to keep track of. So a bullet journalist likes the fact that she can make it up, or that he can make it up as he goes. You can design your spread. So if you ever watch a bullet journal plan with me video, you'll see that oftentimes they are making up the spread as they go, and they may change it out, how they want their month to look, how they want their day to look, and their weeks to look, based on their mood or what they need, or how they want it just to look aesthetically, okay? And if you notice at the beginning of the year in January, I was bullet journaling. Oftentimes, I'll show you, hold on, because I have one. So a bullet journal looks, a traditional book for bullet journaling happens in something like this, okay? It's bound, and it's often dot grid, okay? Which I'll show you. Okay, so dot grid, like that. Hope the camera can pick that up. Okay, that's what a lot of bullet journaling happens in. But even though that's considered a bullet journal, you can bullet journal in a different kind of book. So at the beginning of the year, I was bullet journaling in my Traveler's Notebook, okay? So, oh man, where was I going with this? Totally just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so your spreads, okay? So if you're a bullet journaler, bullet journalist? I like bullet journalist better. So if you're a bullet journalist, you like the full control that you can have of how your spreads look and the ability to change that as you go. At the beginning of the, last year in my Traveler's Notebook, I was using DIY fish inserts, which I enjoyed and they worked for me, but there were certain features of the way the inserts were made that didn't work for me, and I needed to try something else, which is why I switched to bullet journaling. But because I have to create those spreads every day, every week, every month, that got to be too much. I don't have the time. This is where time comes in. I don't necessarily always have the time, or I have the time, but I shouldn't take the time because I should be doing other things. Ugh. So it wasn't feasible for me to keep doing this responsibly, if that makes sense. So all of these different aspects come into choosing. So that's why right now I use Annie Plan's printables, because the way she constructs her spreads work for me, and I don't have to spend all the time constructing it myself, and I can spend that extra 5 or 10 minutes putting stickers where I want them, adding washi, that kind of thing, and then get my lists out, get my to-dos done, write out what I need to write out, and then go on with my day. Okay, so consider your basic types. I had to figure out where I was. This is number 6, consider your basic types, okay? So you have the size of your book, right? That also goes back to what you can reasonably carry. So the size of your book, if you're going to be A5, A6, B6, there's all different kinds. Field notes, passport, standard, personal, pocket. It can get pretty hairy. But so the size of your book, the way it's constructed, okay? So you might have the right size down, but not the right construct, or vice versa. And then consider what kind of spreads you want, okay? If you have the time reasonably, responsibly, to make them yourself, if you want to try bullet journaling, or if you need a little bit of structure that can kind of get you started and on your way, and then you can personalize, it still has room for you to personalize as you go. The last thing on my list is understand that this is a process and embrace it. Okay, so I just gave you an earful of all these things that you need to consider, that if you're new to this, you may never have considered. You may never have been you may never have known that this is what is even out there to discover, right? And you may sit back and go, y'all, I just need me a student planner. I just need, a simple, what is the brand at Walmart? Like Blue Sky, or at Target even, Blue Sky, or there's one that's got sugar in the name. I forgot. Anyway, at Target, you just need a simple month, weeks, and you're good to go, so that you can just keep everything where it's supposed to be. And if that's what you need, go for it. If you need something a little bit more, where you can categorize information, where you can keep track of things, on the long run. So, for instance, I have my calendar, right? I'm working out of 3 calendars. Those of you who watched my last video, you may have your calendar that changes from month to month, right? But then I also need some other information that may remain static for the next 6 months, right? And if all I have are weeks and days, or months and weeks, whatever configuration, then you still need a place to keep track of that stuff that's gonna stay, that's gonna remain for a good chunk of time. Or if you need a place to keep track of tasks in a project, so that, like for me, there are projects or things that I might be working on with other people, but the only record I have of it is our messages on Messenger or through text, but I really need to write those things down so that I can see it all in one space, if that makes sense. So understand that it is a process. If you've never done this before, you've never really worked in a paper planner before to this extent, you have to learn how I'll say it until I'm dead in my grave. You have to learn how your brain engages with paper. I've been a paper girl my entire life. I love ink and paper. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And it's totally a nerdy thing, and I embrace it. So let yourself discover how your brain engages on paper. It may change from month to month, from week to week, from day to day. You may be good for a year in one space and with one method and be like, this is good. And then life changes or the season changes, and you know, next year or next quarter or whatever, think, oh no, I got to switch this up, or tweak it a little bit, right? It could be the difference between, you know, your kids being in school and then them being home for the summer. It could be, you know, your work schedule changes or your spouse work schedule changes that will make you need to tweak something or to change something. Let that be, right? Don't freak out. Don't think, oh my goodness, I picked the wrong thing. Maybe not. It may just need to be a little tweak, or it may be actually that you need a little bit of an overhaul. But allow yourself that. Give yourself grace. Don't feel pressure. Don't feel like, but oh my goodness, like I saw it on Instagram or I saw her do it on YouTube and it just looked so easy. You know, her life is different from yours. And you're going to come up with something that maybe somebody else looks at and goes, oh, that is really cool. And if you're trying to be like everybody else, that may never happen. So give yourself space and room and time and let it be a process and enjoy it. And I think that, you know, the term planner piece is thrown all over the planner community. And, you know, it is a real thing. The search for it is so real. But what you need to make sure you keep in mind is that first and foremost, before the stickers and the washi and the pretty covers and the personalization and the dashboards and the sticky note, before all of that, you need to know what it is that you're keeping track of, why it is that you need a book in the first place, okay? Those are the things that are going to shift and change with life. So make sure that you know what you have in front of you now, right? And then figure out the best way to engage with that on paper. Because you can switch out covers, you can even switch out sizes. I've heard it say that, you know, once I get my system down, I can switch types of books, you know, and sizes of books, depending on the mood I'm in. I was trying to say that very generally, but I heard Carrie Harling say that. She's my favorite planner person on YouTube. I've said that before. Love, love, love her. So I'll link her channel down below if you've never watched her. But yeah, she has said, I have my system down so that I can change from personal to standard to A5 or whatever other sizes that she's used, because she knows her system and she knows what it is that she's keeping track of, right? So even when things change, she has the system down where she can take it and just slide it in where it needs to go. That's what I'm working towards. I'm working toward a system where, oh, I've got this new thing, grab it, it goes right here. Oh, this, I don't need this anymore. Okay, I can take it out and I've got space that either I just scale in, right? Or I can put this other thing in, right? And that's what you want. You want to be able to keep it pushing, keep it moving, stay flexible, and then all the pretty stuff and all the aesthetics and all of the different sizes and all the different choices that you can physically make with your book, all of those things are in addition to, right? All of those things are in addition to, those are just for fun. But that you get your core down so that when things change in life, when you're spinning all those plates, you have as best control of it as possible. I'm a big believer in being in control of the things that you can control, right? There's so much going on in life that we have no control over. But those things where I can control it, I can make a decision for, against, yes, no, maybe, later, whatever. All of those things that I can control, I want to be in as best control of it as I possibly can. Otherwise we just fall apart and then we're miserable and we're bitter, and that's never good either. So anyway, I kind of knew that this would probably end up me kind of rambling around this, but I just wanted to, I really wanted it to be as if, we were sitting together and just talking planners, and you asked me, so how do you do this? Well, this is what I think in my head, this is what I consider, and there's a million other people who have similar or different opinions on this, and so this is, I don't know if I said this at the beginning, I've recorded this a couple times, but I don't know if I said this at the beginning, but this is like the video that I wish I knew to look for when I was starting out. These are things that I wish I knew when I was beginning. So anyway, that's it. That's my spiel. If you have any comments, if I left anything out, if you thought I could have added something to the list, let me know. If you have any questions, ask. There is no question that is like, sometimes I think, oh, this is really stupid, but there are no stupid questions. Go ahead and ask. If I don't answer it in the comments, which I will try, if you do, I will answer as best as I can. Somebody else definitely will. So you will get your question answered, and, there's no stupid question. There's no wrong question. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. That's the cool thing about this. So leave your comments and your questions below, suggestions, what it was like for you. If you are in a place where you kind of got your groove, how did you get to your groove, and what did you learn? Anything, leave it down below. I would love to see what happens in this conversation. Also, I did a while back write a blog post on the blog about, I wrote a blog post on the blog. I wrote a post on the blog about this very topic, and I will link that below as well. I will also link if I can find them, different kinds of planners. I like shopping online. I do a lot of my shopping on Amazon, and so whatever I can find that I think might be useful, I'll go ahead and link that below as well. And if you've got the time to spare to watch some, go ahead and fall down a few rabbit holes on YouTube to see what's out there. There's so many options. So many options. You will not run out. But this video is pushing 40 minutes. I am hungry and getting a little lightheaded. So I'm going to go and eat my lunch. And I will talk to you all later. You guys have a great rest of the day. And oh my goodness, yay! Second video of the week. I am so stoked that I actually got this done. I'm going to try, you guys. I'm going to try. Those of you who saw my last video or my blog post about my goals for the month know that I'm trying to do 2 videos a week. First week down, you guys. I'm pushing for the second week. So anyway, hope you have a great day. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.